It's time once again for the Spearsy Spin with your host, the young and semi-talented Mike Spears.
Hi folks, and welcome to the Spearsy Spin. It is I, the young and semi-talented Mike Spears, and today we have a really good show lined up for you. We're going to be taking a look at filmmaker Michael Moore and some of the strange and yet odd things that he has out in the media right now. We'll also be talking about former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. She was with the Clinton administration for 8 years, and you'll hear some of the loony things she has to talk about. And we also will be shedding some light on a very questionable Sarah Silverman. So that's coming up. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at Michael Moore. Now, Michael Moore, he's been very outspoken about the Trump administration, and has been on several news programs and, well, anywhere there's a camera or a microphone. Take a listen to this clip, and then we'll tell you what is going on.
But let's go to the one, the form your own rapid response team of 5 to 10 people. How does that work?
All right, basically it's very easy, because a lot of people stop me and ask, Mike, what can we do? What can we do? Don't think in the large terms, like there has to be some national. There's no time to form some national new organization or whatever. You and 5 of your friends or 10 of your family members or whatever need to form the, just pick the street you live on. You live on Oak Street, you're the Oak Street Rapid Response Team.
Okay, and this clip is actually courtesy MSNBC. This was shortly after the election, and Michael Moore was talking with one of the anchor reporters there. So here's his thoughts, apparently, that in order to combat President Trump, everybody has anybody who's against Trump, I guess, because it's so horrible, they want you to join and make up your own rapid response team. So his theory is that every time Trump signs an order or a new law comes out, you and your response team will be receiving faxes and phone calls and all that kind of jazz. And so you want to run down as quickly as possible to your closest senator or congressman or maybe even alderman, if you like, and say, why? This is horrible. Why? It's terrible. Oh, my God. Not so sure that's really going to work. And to my knowledge, I haven't seen any rapid response teams. Just let me look out the window. Here, watch out. Look out. Like no, I haven't seen. Wait. Oh, that's a dog. No rapid response people anywhere. Let's take a listen to this next clip.
If everybody has 5 to 10 people, and name your group whatever you want to call it, you can even make up your own website. It's very easy to do this stuff.
Don't you have to wonder? At least I do. Why would someone who, is a filmmaker spend so much time, and not just here? I mean, during the Bush administration, Michael Moore, well, he made the movie Fahrenheit 9/11. If you like conspiracies and questionable theories, it's probably a movie to see. So, okay, these folks now are going to build websites. The Rapid Response Team from Oak Street. I haven't looked up the website yet, but maybe after the show. Let's give another listen.
But even you think it's going to be worse than you think it's going to be, so you can't really imagine how bad it's going to be, I guess.
That is correct.
Apparently, the concern is that the Trump administration is going to be so bad that it's going to be worse than what you think, and then it's even worse than that, and then it's worse than even Michael Moore could imagine. And he's a movie maker. Wow, I guess it really is bad. you have to ask yourself what pushes someone to these extremes, to hold all these meetings, these press conferences, to go all over the not all over, basically Los Angeles, Berkeley, New York City for the most part, a couple stops in Ohio, and spew out this stuff. Listen to this.
Going to be, but it actually will be, and you've received a trailer, a preview, a coming attraction from President-elect Trump, and that has been how he's behaved since the election.
Now, when Mr. Moore says that you received a trailer from Donald Trump, and that's how he's been apparently getting ready to run the country, is based on this trailer that he says that Donald Trump has sent. Now, I haven't seen the trailer. I didn't even know there was a trailer. I hope it was voiced over by Don LaFontaine, because I really like him when he does that. But I haven't seen it, so I'm not really sure what the heck he's talking about here. But it gets a bit weirder.
To the Ayatollahs of Iran and every terrorist you enable, listen up. You might have met our fresh-faced flower child president and his weak-kneed Ivy League friends, but you haven't met America. You haven't met the heartland, where the people will defend this nation with their bloody, calloused, bare hands. That's what it takes. You haven't met the steel workers and the hard rock miners or the swamp folks in Cajun country who can wrestle a full-grown gator out of the water. You haven't met the farmers, the cowboys, the loggers, and the truck drivers. You don't know the mountain men who live off the land or the brave cops who fight the good fight in the urban war zones. No, you've never met America, and you ought to pray you never do. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I have a message from Mike Spears at the Spearsy Spin. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for a quality show, I can tell you I have no class. But what I do have is a very particular set of radio skills. These skills make this show a favorite for people like you. If you subscribe now, that will be the end of it. If you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will bug you until you subscribe.
And he's not going to be governing a lot because he's going to be very much that the Trump you showed at the beginning of the first segment. That's pure television. The way he makes the stuff up about we're going to get rid of Obamacare, we're going to.
Yeah, it's just stuff he made up. Yep. Nah, he can't do that. No, he won't do that. It's all made up. And he leads you to believe that I guess everyone is apparently some type of filmmaker or some type of Imagineer, if you will. Michael Moore does not deal very much in reality per se. It's a pursuit of ideologies that I think probably reign within the type of constructs that he has developed, as a person. Sadly, some of us we just don't go there.
And it's going to be, I won't say 4 years, because I'm not so sure that he's either going to get tired of the job or he's going to screw up in some way, because a malignant narcissist who's also a sociopath, you don't want them in public office because they filter everything through, how is this going to be good for me?
And here we go once again, someone in the unknowing realm passing out these labels. Malignant narcissist. Well, most people are familiar with the term malignant, but narcissism is it's a bit of a different animal by and large. And what I mean by that is that most people who are classified as narcissistic, typically this is more of a syndrome. Although it does fall under the umbrella of schizophrenia, quite often, many things do actually. But someone who's narcissistic, usually they're antisocial people. tend to have paranoia. Imagine this, they imagine that. And one of the tip-offs, I think, when you deal with someone that you believe may have a narcissistic personality, is they tend to be what we call egocentric. And that's typically very, very aggressive, the egocentric episodes, where, they kind of lash out if, you're apparently not, bending down to them, I guess is how you might say that. And sometimes they just seem to have no concern. They have no empathy or sympathy, and have a real need for power. So, with that being the case, we look at Donald Trump, and this is why these folks, they keep throwing this crap out. And it's never going to stick, because there's lots of folks besides myself that are going to come along and say, look, that's not right. Donald Trump is very, very self-contained, number one. Is he narcissistic? No. Could his personality traits lead someone to say, why, he looks narcissistic, I'll bet you? Well, he could, but you see, he is doing that. He is living that. He is the epitome of being called a narcissist, because that's his life. He's certainly not antisocial. He certainly isn't paranoid. I don't see where his ego needs to be padded and aligned in any way. And he is empathetic toward people. He's sympathetic toward people. So once again, this attack has been proven wrong. And of course, the next issue is Mr. Moore says that Donald Trump he's a sociopath, I'll bet you. Folks, as I'm talking to you, I honest to God am holding my own desk reference. It's called a DSM, which this book, DSM means, diagnostic, and it's a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental illnesses, and it's put out by the American Psychiatric Association, and it's so that it serves two purposes. One is the mental health professionals can actually assign by number and score, if you will, issues about folks with mental health problems, so that the insurance companies, especially when they get billed, will pick up on this code and be able to understand what the therapist is charging for. But over and above that, in someone's records, if, for instance, if we have somebody with an explosive anger disorder, and these folks get arrested, and they're in the hospital, certainly if that hospital has their records, these codes will come up. It gives them an opportunity to know what they're dealing with. Well, anyway, so here is the thing. Mr. Moore says that Donald Trump is a sociopath, and in my DSM, just for the heck of it, because I never want to be wrong, but the definition of a sociopath in my DSM is a person with a personality disorder manifesting itself in extreme antisocial attitudes and behavior and a lack of conscience. Now, I haven't seen that. No, I watched a lot of Donald Trump talking speeches. I haven't seen any of this, so I can only imagine two things. One, either when Donald Trump is alone, he becomes this horrible sociopath that is in concert with some other type of mental illnesses. But I kind of doubt that too. So, this is what we talk about. This is what the show is about, is, we're unspinning all the garbage that is out there. Because if you don't, MSNBC, obviously they're patting Michael Moore on the back. He's one of their guests, and he's talking this garbage. And unless somebody comes along, and there's other people too, but unless somebody comes along and says, look, this isn't right, let me set the record straight, then, it's the old saying that a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth can get its shoes on.
People that are, it's going to be the least bad for, Lawrence, are people like you and me, white guys. But if you're Muslim, if you're Mexican, if you're any kind of an immigrant, if you're African American, if you're a woman, if you're a young person, if you're, you could go through all these different groups of people that are going to have it very rough. And it's important for the rest of us to stand up for them.
Okay, so you just heard this yourself. According to Michael Moore, hey, if you're a white guy, no problems. Life is good. But if you're Muslim, you're black, you're a Jew, or you're a young person, whoever else he named there, life is going to be horrible under Donald Trump. So he says we have to stand up for these people. Well, all right, that sounds good. That probably would sell down at the supermarket. But where are you when we have people starving in the country? Why? And we do. We have a problem. We know statistics from the United States Department of Agriculture where we have folks who they don't even have enough meals a week. And this has been going on forever. What about homeless people? What about trying to help poor people who aren't even living? I mean, look, this looks like a lot of wasted time to me on behalf of Michael Moore and people like him. And what it does is they build their own platforms so that they can say, look at me, and I'm here to save you. And it's more garbage from the left, and it is what it is. But we're going to be calling it out each and every time we see it. All right, folks, I have to take a break here because if I don't, I'll get in trouble, and I have no control over the breaks. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. She was with the Clinton administration. And, she's got some things to say about President Trump that are less than flattering. And she also, I don't know if I have the clips about this, but she also talked about being raised Catholic, then changed to an Episcopalian, and then she became a Jew, and now she says that she relates herself with the Muslims. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Don't go away.
Here's a message to every rapist, domestic abuser, violent criminal thug, and every other monster who preys upon women. Maybe you've heard the stories about millions of us flocking to gun stores and gun ranges for the first time, the second time, and the 100th time. Here's what that means for despicable cowards like you. Your life expectancy just got shorter. Because there's a very good chance your next target will be armed, trained, and ready to exercise her right to choose her life over yours. This is what real empowerment looks like. Millions of American moms, grandmothers, and professional women taking our lives and our families' lives into our own capable hands. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Hi, folks, and welcome back here to the Spearsy Spin. Hey, I got some information here before we get started, and that is, I just found out that we are now on Google, Twitter, and Facebook. I don't particularly handle that exactly because I really don't know what I'm doing there. Google, Twitter, and Facebook. So that's got to be, I guess that's a good thing. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, right now we want to talk about the former U.S. Secretary of State, and her name is Madeleine Albright. Now, she spent 8 years with the Clinton administration. as the U.S. Secretary of State there, obviously. She has a very strange and yet odd story. Amongst other things, she talks about being raised as a Catholic. And then at some point she decided that she wanted to change to an Episcopalian. But then through some genealogy, as I understand this anyway, she found out that she's actually Jewish. So, I guess she was Jewish for a bit. And now she claims that she's going to sign up to be a Muslim. Now, this is to do with President Trump's supposedly Muslim ban. It's not. It's just a vetting process. But her, along with Michael Moore, are going to be the first names to sign up as Muslims coming here or living here in the United States. And without further ado, let's give a listen to what Madeleine Albright was talking about on. Apparently, this is courtesy MSNBC.
In many ways, it's anti-American and what this country stands for. It is. We are a country that has been created and populated by people from other countries.
Now, what Ms. Albright's talking about here would be President Trump's registering of Muslims to, again, help in the vetting process to try to make sure that we don't have bad people either currently in the United States that want to do us harm, or from other countries that are coming here as refugees who might do us hard. Well, they could that too, I suppose, but harm. But we have to keep in mind that not all Muslims are terrorists, and that's certainly true. But so far, all the jihadist terrorists appear to be Muslim. So we have all this zany stuff, and we have Madeleine Albright saying that now she's going to apparently become a Muslim or sign up as a Muslim. I wonder what she'd look like in a burqa.
And so the Statue of Liberty's message is, in fact, one of open arms and welcoming people. And
the Statue of Liberty, I think we're going to find, I guess it could be a beacon of sorts, but the Statue of Liberty was actually brought here vis-a-vis the French. Who was the president? Probably Grover Cleveland, I would think, and I'm just guessing. I hope I'm right because I know people will correct me, but I think it was 1886 that President Grover Cleveland, said, "Okay, we'd like to have that. Thank you, France." The Statue of Liberty is down there in the New York Bay, the upper part of the bay, and it's a universal symbol for freedom. And and I think really this is more of an emblem of friendship. Because obviously the people of France and the United States and our mutual desire for living free, for liberty, and all that. It's talked about that the Statue of Liberty is the mother of exiles, and it's true. When folks come in, especially vis-a-vis New York, millions of immigrants see the Statue of Liberty. And a lot of them are looking for a better life in America, and I guess you could assume that the Statue of Liberty is like that. It stands out there to let folks know that this is a nation of freedoms. But what it is not a nation that says anyone and everyone, you're all welcome here, whether you're insane, you're mad, you're a person convicted of heinous crimes in another country, born in sin, come on in. That's not what it's about. So she's way off course here, and let's give a listen here. What else she has to say?
I do think that there are tears in the eyes of the statue at the moment. And I do think that the whole aspect of this, in terms of deciding that our safety and security depends on keeping people out.
So if you're near the New York Bay Area, please drive by and look to see if, in fact, The Statue of Liberty is crying.
Well, I think that part of it here is that it has not made America safer. Let me just say, I think this was the most unprepared plan that I've ever seen in terms of the lack of coordination with other parts of the government. We're seeing that every hour.
So, let's see. Keeping bad people out of the country is not going to help, apparently. I guess we should just let them in here and then deal with the carnage and the aftermath. You know, Albright is originally from the Czech Republic, and a lot of folks don't know that. And coming from that environment, that mindset that the Czech Republic has, I think that's why we're seeing now her coming forward with all this rhetoric. Now, her real name is Marie Jana Korbalova. I wonder if that's like Kinkambalova, but oh well. So the former secretary wants now to be in solidarity with the Muslims, and I'm just trying to understand that. I'm trying to understand, with all the issues we've had with the jihadists and all the attacks against the United States, not only here but obviously our embassies and so on. How does she take that stance?
Since we have troops in Iraq now, and so we have to worry about how they are going to be treated.
We have troops in Iraq, mostly combat troops, as I understand, and it's a war zone. What sense does that statement or that theory even mean?
During the 30s, a ship of Jews was turned away from America. Is that the things that we want to remember? Is how we turn people away from this country when they need help? So the combination is pretty bad, chaotic and disgusting.
Well, in the 30s, we had just gone through, or currently we're going through, the worst depression known anywhere. I don't recall a boatload of Jews being turned around. I haven't researched it, so I'm assuming that Miss Albright is probably telling the truth, and I just don't have time to research that. But whatever the case may be, there would have been a logic to that. And going all the way back to 1930 to make a point in 2017, that's really reaching. So there you have it. Look, for the life of me, I cannot understand the thinking involved here, especially by a former, federal representative of the United States. But perhaps it's me, and I think that behind all of this, that there's underlying issues, and I don't know. I don't know what the connection is between all these folks who are pandering toward the Muslims. I mean, let me put it this way. Just imagine if tomorrow morning you woke up and there was a brand new law that anyone that was against vetting people from other countries coming here, in other words, getting to know them a little bit, find out what they're like. Do they have a criminal background? Do they carry signs that say "kill all humans" or whatever it might be? Okay, but for the folks that say no, we don't need to vet anyone, come on in. How many of those people lock their doors at night? How many of those people have security systems in their homes? How many of those people have a dog? How many of those people sleep with the lights on? You see my point? My point is that today in America, we have more security measures, more lights, more cameras than the mind can imagine. And why? Because we're trying to stop violence. We're trying to stop stealing. We're trying to know what's going on by people who are doing things that they should not be doing. So when we come to saying, look, we want to find out who the people are that want to come into the United States, and these folks go nuts on themselves, I don't get it. I would suspect that if I had a list of these people, that, at 3 in the morning, I could go to their house, the door would be unlocked, and I'd make a sandwich. I don't know. I digress. Okay, folks, I know we're running a little bit long here again, but I promise we're getting better. But our last segment deals with a woman by the name of Sarah Silverman. Now, Sarah Silverman, born in 1970, stand-up comedian. She's an actress. She's done some producing and some writing. Her comedy's a bit, I'll say, odd. Social taboos and racism and sexism, and she attacks religion quite a bit. So, but she's won an Emmy for her show, the Sarah Silverman program. That was back in 2007 or something. But of course, that was on Comedy Central, where there's not really a lot of restraint, but it doesn't matter. She did get that Primetime Emmy Award, so that's good. She has a book out. It's an autobiography called The Bedwetter, as I understand. She's been in some other television programs, Mr. Show and VIP, Who's the Caboose, School of Rock, Wreck-It Ralph, and A Million Ways to Die in the West. She also starred in a drama called Smile Back, and she was nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by Female Actor. Now, she identifies herself as a feminist. Now, what is interesting to note about Sarah Silverman is that she brought a lot of heat upon herself shortly after President Trump was elected. I believe this is still up on Twitter. She has a Twitter account as well. But on her Twitter account, she had made this ploy to the United States military to overthrow President Trump. And she said in her tweet something to the effect that if the military would overthrow President Trump, then the king and all his flunkies would go bye-bye. So, look, if the average person on the street had said this about President Obama, I'm pretty sure that they would have at least received a visit from the Secret Service or the FBI. It doesn't appear that that's happened here with Sarah Silverman, although I can tell you that she has toned it down here in the last few weeks. So my belief is that someone's probably gotten a hold of her and said, you need to cut this out. But more and more, I'm trying to understand why these folks, the Hollywood left, what is that they feel they have a power of some sort because they're a comedian or they're an actor. They've been in a lot of films. George Clooney comes to mind, and David Letterman. These folks, they openly are on the left, but that doesn't give them the right to come out and say this crazy stuff, about the Trump administration, Bush, Reagan, Nixon. I'm giving away my age here, but I've listened to this, and this is why, folks, when we had this last election, the folks, what I call base America, had enough. And these people just don't understand how it is that Donald Trump would be elected. So that's why you're seeing all this mental illness crap come out, things about women. Look, it's this simple. If we did not put someone like Donald Trump into that office today, and people who have a history of being professional, of being successful, that are in his cabinet, the United States, in my opinion, would have fallen. But that's my thoughts. We'll be talking about that more another time. But tomorrow, if you join us, it's a kind of a touchy subject, but we're going to talk about the abortion doctor. This is Dr. Gosnell from down in Pennsylvania, who is currently now serving a life sentence for multiple murders of infants. So we'll be talking about that. Hope you join us again. Sorry we're running long. We're working to fit a few things in. It is complicated. But thank you so much for listening, and thanks for understanding. Remember, there's only one world. Let's all see if we can live in it.
Thanks for being with us today. Until next time.